Hello and welcome to Screen Views. I'm Dave.
I'm James.
And this is the weekly podcast where we give our views on a film and TV show.
Each episode is unscripted, unedited, so anything can happen. Listeners should be aware that we do include spoilers, so feel free to fast forward, rewind, or simply buckle up and enjoy a somewhat coherent conversation.
Our podcast is based on the idea that there's no such thing as a bad movie. Therefore, for every review, we'll give a recommendation instead of a rating.
But first up, we're going to have a quick discussion about what we talked about last week to see if our opinions have changed. Hello, we're back.
Hello.
Back. So last week, what did we watch?
Nothing.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Yeah, we do apologise. But we watched.
Start of term.
Yeah,
I blame the start of term.
Yeah,
if anybody's a teacher, they might relate to what James and I have been going through, which is general chaos at the start of the year.
Yeah. And general freshers flu as well.
Yeah.
We have that in colleges as well because of not as much as because the whole idea of freshers flu is people coming from all over the country and it's new bacteria, and so you're more vulnerable to it. And I think quite a lot of people at college have started being ill. So
I should apologise in advance if I start coughing during this unedited podcast.
I've had my illness session last Friday and Saturday. I felt terrible. But
got it out of the way with have an illness session, bit like a gym session.
Yeah,
just go in, get ill, come out again. Yeah, feel a bit better.
I've not had a gym session in a while, but yeah.
Well, that's another situation.
So we had a very festive time last time with festival.
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense, but you knew I was trying to. I always try to work something in there.
We always I'm a huge fan of your links, James. Festival. Any new thoughts, James?
No, it's just been forgotten about. It's just that they spend loads of money on the advertisement because I've seen more posters for that than anything else in a long time.
Right.
And I felt maybe not TV adverts. When it comes to poster adverts, there's been a lot of money went into that. Very soon forgotten.
Well, I imagine because it's a Channel 4 based production, isn't it? It'll probably hit TV.
Yeah.
Quite quickly. I imagine they'll probably time it with festival season again next year.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in terms of tie-in and marketing. Any changes? Any thoughts to add?
No. It was just I've listened to quite a few people who've seen it, and none of them have thought that it was great. And it was just meh film at most. If it was the best review of it, it's it's alright. It's
it's just not the phenomena that In-Betweeners sort of gives you, I guess.
And the way it does big itself up a little bit, and I don't know. I like a film which is advertised to exactly what it is. In terms of I know comedy, the advertisement for comedy wants to make it wants to look at hilarious and wants to look at. But I don't know. Sometimes when they advertise something, and especially drama comedies, and the advert has that nice line of drama comedy and not just a comedy. I don't know. I think.
Do you think this had more drama to it than you thought? Then is that what you were? Is that what you're getting at?
No, actually, no. There's no way to market a bad film. For me, it's a bad film anyway.
Well, there's no such thing as a bad film, James.
No.
So,
but if there was, this would certainly be in the running.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along with Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I like bringing up Tomb Raider as our sort of.
I thought Tomb Raider was better than this.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Only because the snippets that were really good in Tomb Raider. There's one shot where it was really cool in terms of a game shot, and I felt like the seed of Tomb Raider, the essence, the idea of it had so much potential.
But it's similar to that Assassin's Creed film.
Yeah,
there's moments that are visually stunning that you stick in the trailer that gets you excited about the film, and then you get in there and you're like, it's just not got the weight to it. I mean, for me, I preferred Festival over Tomb Raider, but I think that's because I was probably expecting more from Tomb Raider, whereas Festival, I kind of knew it was going to be an in-betweeners film, but not as good as an in-betweener film.
Yeah.
So I think my expectations were well adjusted there with this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. I was going to ask you, have you seen the Captain Marvel trailer?
I have. My rule is to stay away from trailers. I've been really bad at that rule.
Yeah,
I did watch the Captain Marvel trailer.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because I have a feeling, I hope I'm right about this, that the person who wrote Tomb Raider wrote Captain Marvel. And all I've heard about Captain Marvel so far is that she punches like a granny in the trailer. So I'm not like, again, my expectations are probably dropping nicely for Captain Marvel. So when I actually go and see it, and if it's half decent, I might enjoy it a little bit more.
So you're either not a fan of punching grannies, or one granny isn't enough, and you're like, only one granny?
Or, I'm sure there's people out there that is like that. No, but just my sort of... I mean, I probably shouldn't prejudge it, but I was reading an article about why is it that it's acceptable for a female superhero to punch a granny, where, like, with Superman, we wouldn't see that ever. And obviously, because it's almost like a kind of producer decision of like, oh, so we've got a female superhero, so we can invent a villain that takes over a granny, and then the superhero has a fight with the granny, and that's okay, it's acceptable, we can put it in because it's female on female violence, so that makes it okay. I'm not sure that I agree with that, but I haven't seen the trailer, so I don't feel like I can fully condemn it.
As someone who knows why she punched the granny, I have more of an insight on this because of the comic books I've read. Right. And so, do you know?
Is it saying true to the comic books?
Oh, I don't, not that much. So basically, one of the creatures within this film is a well-known creature within the Marvel universe,
like
in terms of comic book wise. So they're called the Skrulls, and they take over bodies.
Yeah.
And so
that's acceptable. So it's fine to punch Granny if you're a female superhero and somebody's taken over that person's body.
I think if we've already had the same situation, I don't know. I think if we've already had, if the Skrulls have already been in, I don't know. There's no side by side comparison because in the superhero universe that we know so far, there hasn't been any shape shifting things. I'm not sure we can. I'm not sure. I think I don't know. I'm trying to approach this film in quite a my eyes open, and I might come out of it thinking exactly the way you're thinking. But I think it's because it's a first sort of shape shifting thing within a world where you can. Could have been an old man as well.
Yeah, but the point is, it is not an old man.
Or the 50-50 chance.
But that's the problem, isn't it? Why is it not an old man? And the point is because this sort of links back to like gender issues within both Hollywood and society. But anyway, I think that maybe I shouldn't prejudge from that point of view.
Well, the Marvel opened my eyes in terms of Luke Cage. Like I liked how like they even make a point of the amount of like female henchmen, female fighters, male fighters, and it wasn't like a stereotypical huge thing. Because that's what I kind of like about Captain Marvel is that they haven't brought anything like sort of like stereotypical like butch sort of like. I don't mean that any offense. I know a lot of people have heard the better word butch, but in terms of like the visual characteristics of like the female Bond villains, for example, the old female Bond villain, they always had a certain type of look to them, and I don't know. And I'm going in with my eyes open. There are elements of the trailer which I actually kind of like.
Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I've derailed this conversation about the festival. Put in something about Captain Marvel. But
what made you think of Captain Marvel?
What
made you think of Captain Marvel?
because we started talking about Tomb Raider, and there was a link there.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, I mean, just coming back to the festival, like, I think for me, again, it comes to like expectations.
Yeah.
So, an expectation management. So, I think for me, I was managing my expectations quite well with that one. Whereas Tomb Raider, I was perhaps, too invested in the, growing up and playing Tomb Raider. Obviously I know now how poorly gendered that series is in terms of representations, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, that's where the sort of link is between those three films.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the festival.
Okay. Yeah. There's no rules here, James. We can't.
But I don't know. Like, it doesn't like. I would have watched it again, but I'm just saying I wouldn't go back to it. So.
Oh, you wouldn't?
I would
watch it again.
I would have watched it again.
Sorry, I thought you had another point that you wanted to add, but
no. I was simply making like a double point.
Yeah,
I'm sort of saying I will watch it again, and also it sounds like I will go back to a festival again, which I've not. Sorry, I was trying to be jokey, but it didn't work.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah,
so he says, but hey, try and you fail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think. But that's the thing with. Yeah, I mean, I did talk about this in the podcast, the full review, which I do think they captured quite well, was this kind of like highs and lows of being at a festival.
Yeah,
I do think that worked quite well. I think there's some stuff that they could have perhaps executed a bit better. I think the other thing for me as well is that they did a good job of making you feel like it was actually shot at a festival, and that it was like taken from bits and they've chopped stuff together, and so I think they did that quite well, and it was pretty seamless. So I think visually they did a good job with it.
I felt it was the same festival at the same time.
Which is interesting because it's not like the cinematography isn't perhaps something that we would talk about in this kind of film because it is a comedy film. But they did. I feel like they did a really good job with the resources that they had, and probably the budget to create this feeling of being at one festival. And it was shot at different festivals. So I think that for me like sort of tips it over the edge in terms of comparing it to like Tomb Raider and stuff. So yeah,
cool.
But I think it's one for TV, and we probably said that in the previous podcast, didn't we? So yeah, I think if you're looking at TV stuff, it's pretty much there.
Yeah, easy TV.
Sunday afternoon, something like that.
Or morning.
Yeah, just
morning,
good ready. Hangover film. Yeah. So like easy watch. You could have it on in the background as well. Yeah,
not your main source of entertainment in the evening.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing is that if you're a huge fan of In-Betweeners and you go into this thinking it's going to be just as good, again, that expectations might be a bit too high with this film, and maybe you just sort of need to lower your expectations, because for me it's not as good as In-Betweeners 1 or 2. So
no. Well, that was the festival. And on to this film. This week's film. Yardie.
Yardie.
Yeah.
So this is Idris Elba's debut?
Debut directing film.
Okay.
I believe you also wrote it as well.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I believe so. They may be false facts.
Yeah, fake news, James. Come on.
Yeah. No, he didn't write it. It's based on a novel.
Yeah, it's by
Victor Heatley. Oh, let's see.
And that was in the credits. I think maybe at the end of the film, possibly.
This film is an interesting film. It's an interesting film. I've got mixed feelings on it. Very mixed feelings on it. I thought it would be clearly my expectation. This didn't meet my expectations in a lot of areas, but did in some other areas.
Okay.
Generally, I was sort of kind of happy coming out the film, but I wasn't ecstatic.
Yeah, I think I am on a similar page. I think there were aspects of this film that I did enjoy, and there were other aspects that I was like, not so sure about this.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about some of those
things which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the fact that even though you know the story is going to come to an end, you know it's going to all come together. I kind of like just following this person's life and not really needing the next step. Do you know when you can sort of see a narrative footpath? But I kind of just liked this a lot of this film in terms of not being able to you're just observing someone's life rather than having to follow their narrative footstep.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because they used a lot of narration, didn't they, to tell the story.
In terms of like a firm story, I sort of got annoyed about the side stories. It's sort of half and half. In terms of the character development and just observing the character, I felt like he doesn't really. The skeletons of the story sort of annoy me a little bit in terms of how it is very blocky, and there's two main stories. There's stories about drugs and there's stories about the haunting of his past of like his brother, and yeah, but I don't know. I just felt like it's like there was a drone you're just following this man, and it wasn't really, every single line of dialogue wasn't really engaging. Every single line of dialogue wasn't important. Everything, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt like I did like if they just didn't have the main story, I think I would have enjoyed it more, and just seeing somebody adapt to London.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You kind of like wanted, so like you almost just wanted a story about, and this is going to sound really weird because I'm just going to describe the story and criticize it at the same time and praise it at the same time, I guess. So you kind of just, I get what you're saying, because you kind of just want to see a story, or at least I felt coming out of this that I kind of just wanted to see a story about Jamaican history and immigration and the kind of, the process of all of those kind of events within a kind of period, and like how. So, and it's a shame because I guess what I'm saying is that I wanted more drama and less action and drugs. So that is not contradictory, but in a sense, the story is about somebody who moves from Jamaica to Britain. Yeah. But I think if I was going to be critiquing the sort of kind of script, like obviously the dialogue was well written, I think and you had some plays on like words, and they like there was, I just feel like the Jamaican history was there, but the British immigration history could have been a bit sort of stronger, and then it was sort of kind of a realist narrative, but then you had people in London with Uzis in a time period where I'm not sure that is quite historically accurate. I could be wrong on this. I mean, I could be wrong that I can't remember the exact period, but I could be wrong about the fact that there were people who had guns in London. But we know with Britain, like, there's not, we haven't got that history of gun sort of violence. So I sort of felt that kind of removed me from the story a little bit. And then also the character, the British character who kept putting on a Jamaican accent.
Well, I kept sort of slipping in and out of it.
And it was kind of like, I get what they were sort of doing is this kind of like, on the one hand, that's great because it's kind of a social commentary about the white man stealing from the black man, and taking like what they think is good about that culture or will make them relevant, and all of those kind of things are mixed in there with that character. But I just feel like I just don't think it was just felt quite random and unnecessary.
Thank you.
And so I just didn't like it.
Well, I listened to a review, and the reviewer was praising it, and every time he spoke and every time he kept slipping in and out, it just distracted me, and I just, you either. So what are you? Are you somebody who is fluent in? I don't understand that. Are you just putting on an act? Is this all an act, or is this, or have you got used to both? You naturally slip, and it just caused so many questions for a character that I didn't really want to focus on too much. I mean, Stephen Graham, I think his name is. I think it's Stephen Graham. Yeah, Stephen Graham, fantastic actor.
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. I mean, he's been in so much.
Yeah, and I feel like he's not he's not a household name, and he's not well known, and he's never on the front of a cover.
Which is ironic because he is in so many different things, and he's played some like iconic characters over the years. Yeah,
I think his best role for me is This Is England, and also
the
TV series This Is England, because you just see a harsh character, and you see the harsh character change into the character. Best. The journey between, especially if that's like a TV and film. That's film and a TV series, which is just like really interesting.
Is it Boardwalk Empire that he's in as well?
I've not seen that.
Oh, that's with, so good.
Steve Buscemi, right?
Yeah. I think he's in that. But he plays like a famous gangster whose name I can't remember.
I really wanted him to steal the show with his scenes, but it doesn't. However, I do like his henchmen. I do like his like. I think a lot of the acting in this film was actually really interesting and really brought me through it. Like I say, I don't like in terms of the storyline, that are the main events, but I like the things in between the main events.
Yes,
I like so.
Well, that's what I mean about wanting to see a drama rather than an action.
Yeah,
because the action almost like took you away from the interesting bits around immigration and families and father figures taking over from, like having not had a father figure himself, and like naturally fitting into this role, but then also kind of being removed from the situation. There was some, like you say, these interesting moments in between the annoying sort of action.
Yeah.
And you almost like, so I think, that probably I don't know if that comes out of the book, or I don't know whether that's like producers trying to sex it up into a film that people want to go and see. Yeah. But I kind of feel like it's interesting that you talk about the acting, because I think, it makes sense that a director who's got an acting background is going to get good acting out of his actors, because that's what he knows. Yeah. And so I think, I mean, I don't want to be too critical, because I'm sure Idris Elba's like, much more talented director than I am. But I did feel coming out of this that there wasn't quite this kind of filmic skills that you get from a purist director. And I know that sounds harsh, but maybe if the next project for Idris is a pure drama, he might it might work, because there's a lot more focus on the acting. And perhaps if I was producing, I would perhaps put him with a really, really strong cinematographer, and who can sort of get the visuals and the acting to sort of match up.
I also think the theme of it, was just kind of lost, because I was when I was watching it, I was thinking, is this about family, or then is this about friendship? And then you watch the end bit thinking, has this whole thing a bit about like a love letter to music? Because all of a sudden it becomes a lot about music, a lot about rapping. I'm thinking, we know he's into music and his brother's into music, but like it didn't really seem to capitalize and really thrive on any of the stuff. And like we talk about Luke Cage, and we talk about like the rich accents, and then we talk about the rich music, and we also talk about like, I don't know, just there's just so many times where it just seems so rich and so interesting, and I felt like this had a lot of stuff in it, but it never really focused on anything, because I don't really come out of it thinking, I really love that music, I really love the rap battle, I really love his rapping, I really love, because I didn't feel the film was about that. But then the end scene seemed like the end scene
got lost.
Looked like it was meant to be about that, and was it meant to be about the loss of his brother, and was it meant to be about? And maybe I understand the film shouldn't be just about one thing, but you do need something to pull you through it. You need one central thing to pull you through it. Sometimes I just feel like they focus on the music at the start and they focus on the music at the end. They focused on his connection with his brother at the start and the connection with his brother at the end, and it felt. I know the film did lose me a lot, but the drama it does really well. Like the interaction between when he meets the teenagers and him for the first time, and when you start to see, I can't describe. Do you know the scene I'm on about?
Yes,
they storm in and they're both the teenagers lose the act, and it's just like a really nice comical sort of like nice interaction. And
and it was.
I was like,
but it's also done quite well because they were just like, they're they're just sort of playing a role.
Yeah,
and he's sort of lived it, and
he knows,
and so like, I think there was like some real nice moments in this film, but overall, like you say, the package is just it's a bit lost in the post. Somewhere. And I sort of think. Like, I mean, coming back round to the themes, you're just like, well, what is this film trying to say? And it's a shame that it doesn't say more about race, about immigration, about, like a love of countries or love of music, or, I think it just sort of is sort of like a revenge story that sort of like has a bit of action in it. I just felt like it didn't, for me, it just didn't quite harness the things that could have made it really, really interesting, and it just swung a bit too much towards action sequences and like this kind of revenge story. So
and it's just like, because like I say, you just kept forgetting about what it was and thinking, okay, so this, I don't know, came out thinking, what was that? I don't know. It would have really nice if it was about music, about love or passion, and like when he sings, it's about his brother, and that would have been like a really nice film. Or would have been interesting if he was like he was always thinking about his brother. His brother's always on his mind, and he can't get over his brother. Or it could have been about like not really fitting in England and not really fitting in here, and who to trust. And it just and like it doesn't focus on anything too much. And it's like it would have been really nice to focus on the father-daughter relationship and that a little bit more, but they don't really focus on that much. And there's a few scenes that show he's a dad and he wants to get involved, but that's really it. And it's like we spoon-fed all the information that we need to enjoy the story rather than enjoying the story.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame because, I was expecting a little bit more.
Yeah, or just hoping for a little bit more. Something that kind of says a little bit more.
And I don't know if there may be people from like Jamaican culture who have come over here can see the film and think, oh wow, he gets all these things, and wow, that really makes sense to me. But I just didn't really pick up what he was. If there was loads more to the movie that we just didn't see because we're just ignorant because we don't have that knowledge.
Yeah, maybe. But then, I guess so. I mean, I think there's a possibility. I mean, like it. And I'm sure the attention to detail's there. I don't think the cinematography was bad, but I do think the visuals could have been better. I thought the pacing of the movie was okay. I didn't feel bored necessarily, but I did sort of feel like I say, I just kind of wanted a bit more of the kind of drama that perhaps wasn't there enough. So it's a shame because it kind of fell short. in lots of ways, but also, you know, I quite happily watch this movie over some other stuff. Yeah. So I don't know what they would be, but probably you know, something like the festival that we've just spoken about.
Yeah, I think I might watch it, not in a hurry. When it's on Netflix again, I might give it another go in terms of start watching it and give it like 15 to 20 minutes, and to see if it does pick up my fancy. And now I've seen the whole film, and maybe see it again. I don't want to give up on it too quickly. I feel like sometimes I don't know if I'm being too harsh in the movie.
Yeah, maybe.
I knew when I came out of it I wasn't 100% happy, but
yeah. So I think that's something that I would probably recommend, is that wait for this one to come out on Netflix or Amazon or, you know, streaming services. Yeah. I don't think it's a film to like rush to. No. I'd be very surprised if it gets any kind of BAFTA or recognition or awards.
Might do for... Actually, no, well... Sorry.
Yeah. Well, unless like original music, maybe. I don't know. I don't even feel like you say, because the focus wasn't music. Like, it doesn't really feel like you would credit it for that. Like, you know, and then it also doesn't feel like anyone was, in terms of performance, was really stealing the show. No. You know, it had a lot of good acting in it. But you know, there just wasn't enough weight. Like, it was a bit too, you know, airy. And it's a shame, because I just sort of feel like, you know, it could have said so much more, you know, especially with all the Windrush stuff going on. Like, you know, it could have had such a good, like, sort of timing in terms of really saying something about society and immigration and, like, you know, those kind of heavy hitting topics. You know, and I know it's because it's adapted from a book. You know, the book was probably written a few years ago, you know, but I just sort of think they could have worked a bit more in terms of giving something to, you know, a bit more in regards to saying something about society.
Yeah, I didn't really capture life. Yeah, you said it perfectly. I think even though they captured life a lot more in Kingston, I don't think they really captured life that much in either direction. I didn't feel like, oh, we're back in time in England. I didn't feel like, oh, we're in a different country and like, look at this life, look at this community. And yeah, I think it was just very it's very, very weak in terms of like the environment is set in. It doesn't really give enough time to appreciate the environment.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, overall it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really criticizing it. Like, sorry if it sounded like we're really dissing, and we're not. It's actually it's an okay film, but I just saw so much. This could have been an incredible movie.
Yeah, I
think that we can see the skeletons of this movie, and it could have been incredible.
Yeah, I sort of agree with that. But maybe they just thought, to do all the things that I'm asking for, maybe it was, you know, too far away from the book. Yeah. So maybe if we read the book, maybe we could, like, I'm not saying that either of us are going to do that by next week in a re-review, but what I'm getting at is that I would be interested to see how closely it follows the book, or how much they feel like they needed to put in terms of, like, action and drugs and that sort of thing. Yeah. You know, and I think also I didn't really come out of it thinking, you know, oh, okay, like, drugs are, you know, this, like, massive sort of problem or issue. Like, again, it was just like they were kind of there.
Like there's 3 scenes with drugs: when he was given the drugs, when he was with Simon Graham's character, and when he saw the drugs. And that's really the last time we really hear about drugs, and last time it becomes.
Yeah, the whole story is kind of about drugs.
Yeah,
it's just, yeah. I mean, maybe again, it just didn't sort of get its point across in terms of how much of a big thing that was in Jamaica and at a certain time, and I think, but again, I think it's this thing where it's like perhaps again with the book, because you've got more time to explore, maybe the book is a bit more thorough with some of the stuff that we see in the film. And so I'd be interested to see, okay, does it explore some of the things that I'm talking about in much more detail in the book? And it's just that by it translating onto film, they have to sort of like condense stuff, so it feels like you're jumping a bit too much, like.
But it didn't feel like a huge story either.
No,
like if it felt like a huge story, I can probably go around that. But even the business. Okay, so he sells this to this other guy. This other guy selling is basically giving him money when he gets money. And then what does he do with the money? Does he pass the money on? How much did he take? Because all we saw is like he just earned some money and he's just like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
and there wasn't any agreement for him to take any of that money.
Yeah,
he was just meant to just give it over. So he wasn't meant to get any money from that. He's basically go to England, settle down there. Oh, and take this with you. There wasn't any sort of like sit down conversation off screen or on screen of like, this is what we do and this is how we're going to sell it. Because he didn't talk to that guy until he sold. I don't know. It just. I just don't understand where, like, he doesn't know how much he's selling it for. He doesn't know how much money he's collecting. What's he going to do with the money? How's he going to transfer it over? There's just so much stuff which is just the audience just meant to go, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's sort of like,
but I think that's the trouble with like being spread too thin. So it felt like it didn't really explore the drug aspect. Didn't really explore. Family didn't really explore love enough,
music.
Or music, and it kind of floated into revenge, and then floated out of it again, and it. So, I it just like you say, it's just not. It's not convinced me about one thing.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's when you spread yourself too thinly. You don't have the time
it's
to
too safe.
Focus on those things. So maybe that's an issue. But like I say, I'm just sort of pondering if that's a bit clearer in the book, because you got more time to like pull apart those different things.
Might
so
be,
yeah.
I've not seen a book advertised that well. Like a lot of the time when these films come out, you'll then start to see the book being re-released, be pushed. But I've not really seen that.
Yeah.
So I don't think the studio's been behind them that much in terms of like getting this film out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got a lot of potential, and I sort of think like we're kind of starting to see that if Idris Elba does move into the directing, you could see him doing something that's like boom, like wow. So I really hope this is profitable. So somebody goes, right, okay, we can invest in Idris, the next one, and Idris doing something. Maybe he's I don't know, but maybe I just sort of feel like what I get from him is somebody who's kind of passionate about these big topics.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe, again, we sort of spoke at the start of this podcast about expectation management. So I think perhaps my expectation of this being a story about, immigration and race relations was perhaps a misunderstanding from my part going into this film.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm being a bit harsh. So, I don't know.
He hasn't helped either, because because like the what I'm hearing from him is like, oh yeah, I'm telling a story which I grew up with, and telling a story which no one knows yet, and he's really promoting looking into somebody's life and looking into things we don't see every day, and he's really looking into. I feel like he's really passionate about the things we like about the movie, and he hasn't really been talking about the stuff we don't like about the movie.
Yeah, but he's not going to critique his own
movie,
I guess.
But I reckon he should go, if he does a TV series where he can like just.
Yeah, maybe that's a way to go. Focus on the drama. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, in terms of a recommendation, where do you sit with this film, James?
It's got some Jamaican roots in it. And if you're interested in Kingston at all, then you might wanna go to that. And it's got the acting in it is great. So you want to see some great actors. The story isn't that good enough for me. Like I say, I'm gonna give it one more go, but when it's on Netflix. But I just if you want a simple story that's not too complicated, and you want to see great acting, then yeah, this is a film for you. But if you're looking for an interesting story to really rive you in, this film is kind of weak in that sort of area. And it's really hard to recommend.
Yeah.
I think some people will like it, but no one's going to love it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I sort of agree with that. It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult, like you say, because it's not the film that I thought it was going to be. So I think if you're looking for a good weighty drama, it's far from that. I think if you want sort of a kind of a fiction film, but in the style of a kind of biopic, with a bit of action, is maybe hitting those notes. But I'm not sure who kind of wants to see that.
Yeah, it's not,
and that's a problem.
Yeah. There's no main market to
Yeah, and when you're talking about like the kind of Jamaican history, I mean, I feel like watching the Bob Marley documentary. I got more out of that than I did this film. So I would recommend, if you're interested in Jamaican sort of history, Jamaican culture, the Bob Marley the documentary is quite long and it's quite thorough in terms of talking about those things, and obviously the music aspect helps with Bob Marley. So I sort of think that for me is a better film to watch to get that. So my recommendation is that if you want that, go go for that film. But so I think if you want something that's a bit lighter, that has a predominantly black main cast, I mean that's something positive that we've not spoken about. Is that there is the main cast is
I
black.
think the people that stand out to me, obviously the main actor. There is Beanie, played by Joanne Miles, who's like one of the Shane. He's like the tall black gangster.
Right.
And like he really makes a presence. I really like seeing him on screen.
Yeah, I thought the main actor was really good in this actually.
Yeah.
He did a really good job.
Amla Amin, his name is. I think I'm saying that right. And I thought he did a really good job. And it's just like unlike IMDb, a lot of people don't have pictures, so I think it's like their first roles. Yeah. Which is kind of like a cool thing. I mean, like the guy who plays Clancy, and the older version, that's his first role. And quite a lot of them. He's only got like one role, so lots of like rich black actors. In terms of saying rich is in their acting ability. I don't know about their bank accounts.
But I know what you mean. It's like giving that opportunity to first time actors. I'm sure that was probably quite important. Yeah. For Idris. I'm saying it like me and Idris are friends.
Yeah, so
I just want to be friends.
Pal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if you're not Bond? Just you can still be my pal.
Who knows? One day, James.
He will be Bond. I'll never be Bond.
Well, we can live in hope.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm still holding out for Clive. So
Yeah.
Clive Owen. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I think it should be Henry Cavill.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
My voice is like
Well, I want to see an audition tape from him.
What is the most wooden James Bond?
Because he's been very wooden in a lot. I think he's directed really badly.
Yeah.
I think he's been directed really badly. I want to see.
Have you seen the Tudors?
Tape. No, is he wooden in there?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe not.
Like that's. I mean, he
looks good in the suit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like,
he looks like James Bond. Maybe that's all I'm going with so far.
I sort of get it. I get it. You know, there's a reason that he's Superman.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I get the sort of, you know,
there is somebody who
appeal.
There is a James Bond in mind. He's in Peaky Blinders.
Yes, I've heard that rumor. Yeah.
Oh, a rumor he could be.
Yeah.
James Bond.
Who are
you thinking of?
I don't know his name, but
Cillian Murphy? Not Cillian Murphy.
No, he's the main guy. It's one of the younger characters, I think.
I think Joe Clark.
Yes.
Joe Cole.
No. Is he a different guy?
Different guy to...
No, I'm getting confused because there's rumours about the guy that was in that Mafia series. There was rumours about him going to James Bond.
Well,
but he was in another series that he was amazing in, which I love, which I can't remember the name of. But yeah, Mafia, they were talking about him. I think because he wears like a tux a lot in that program.
I think Joe Cole, just because of the way he acts, I think he should be Bond, but he doesn't look like Bond.
Is he the one in Peaky Blinders? Yeah, that's right. Sure, okay. Yes, that's him. Yeah, I've heard that rumor. Yeah,
fantastic actor, and I'd love it. And he's also very young as well. He's a young man. He's a year older than me, so he's very young.
yeah. Well, he's got He's got a bit of a baby face, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So just summing up, Yardie, little bit disappointing for first time.
A little bit disappointing. It isn't great, but it's okay. I think it's all about, we talk about expectations. The thing is, okay, you can get through it. There's lots of stuff to enjoy about it, but it's not enjoyable all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to next week.
Next week,
looking to the future.
Next week you'll probably hear is our monthly catch up. So there'll be no spoilers.
Yes.
We talk about all the films we've looked at in the month, and also I'll just briefly say about the film that I've seen, and then we'll rate the films that we reviewed in terms of the best, the worst, and the hidden gem.
Yeah, and we've got quite a few months to cover because we're behind. We call them mini-sades, but they're basically a roundup of what we've seen.
Roundup
or like
and no spoilers.
A shorthand of the main reviews of our podcast. So yeah, we've got like quite a few months. I think we've been a bit slack on them. Well, I say slack on the mini-sades, but I think we're busy people. Yeah. We've got a lot of.
We didn't see the point. If we only did 2 films, then there's no point doing a mini-sode for that month.
Yeah. We're gonna try and get back on track. In terms of content, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. Like, we're up to like 30 odd episodes already.
Yeah, so all you complainers out there,
shut up. All you haters. I think we have to have listeners to have haters, James. So maybe we need to focus on getting those.
Complain more. Let us know you're there.
Yeah, let us know that you're listening, because that's really important.
Yeah.
So love or hate, just listen.
Just wave
to us, please. No, we're not that desperate.
No,
are we?
No.
Although, dare I say the Instagram word?
Yeah.
No, that's for our super long sign off, which we've not got to yet.
Thank you to all our international viewers as well.
That's great. That's impressive. So next week. We need to talk about next week.
We will be so after the minisode we'll be
looking at Venom.
Venom. Yeah, I'll try to find like a
you
way
find
of,
that?
like,
Yeah. We're gonna be like
we're
poisoned.
We're gonna be reviewing a film that's out of this world. It's a parasite from out of this world, and Venom.
It's gonna have
should be an interesting. It should be interesting because it's in a Sony universe, which is also connected to the Marvel universe, but it isn't directly connected to Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, talking of James Bonds though,
Hardy.
I think he'd be top of a lot of people's lists.
Yeah, I'd hardly believe he'll become
James Bond. There we go. Brilliant.
But he's playing the second superhero, second character within a superhero setting, because he played Bane in Batman.
Oh yes, Bane.
Yeah, Bane. And should be interesting in terms of universes. And like I have read a few Venom comic books, different Venom comic books. So
you'll be able to bring some expertise.
Yeah, and it's also to having Venom origin story without Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think that was going to be my next question. Was like, where's this sit? Like in terms of comic books.
In terms of Venom's abilities, are very connected to Spider-Man. To not have Spider-Man in there.
Yeah.
It will be interesting.
Because did we last see Venom in Spider-Man 2? 3?
3, yeah.
Oh, the emo one.
Yeah. And so, Venom. But like Venom in the comic books have taken many forms. There's been a pure villain. There's been.
Is it a space virus? Does he get like attacked by a space virus?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a parasite which latches on to Spider-Man, and therefore morphs his abilities with Spider-Man's abilities.
Yeah.
So, which is why sort of aliens sort of kind of Spider-Man-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And so in one comic book, the soldier wears it, but he can't wear it for too long, or else the parasite will take it over him. So he can have full control over a certain amount of time. So,
right, yeah, okay.
But then in the comic book, he gets caught in a situation where he needs to keep wearing it, and it's about the battle between which takes over, the Venom suit or him.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting comic book.
Do you think this film will focus on this? I mean,
this film is interesting because it focuses on Eddie Brock and Venom. Venom isn't the villain of this film. He's like an anti-villain, but he's not like there'll be someone worse than Venom in this movie.
Yeah, I would imagine that, because that's how movies work.
Yeah,
especially with like very flawed characters.
So I'm kind of interested. I'm also kind of interested seeing Eddie Brock seeing the parasite and then them becoming Venom, because Venom is the both minds together.
Yeah,
when they're both in control.
Do we know who directed it or is behind it or anything?
No, but for the power of internet.
Yeah. Well, just while you're looking into that, James, I mean, in terms of my expectation for this film, I feel quite proud that I've managed to miss most of the trailers. I think I may have seen one teaser, but I've managed to keep those expectations down, because obviously, you know, Tom Hardy's a big draw. You know, so him in a comic book film, not playing a villain or a bit part, you know, has got massive appeal. Let's face it. You know, it's like
the cast in general seem fantastic.
Yeah,
Michelle Williams. You've also got Woody Harrelson's in it. Jenny Slate. You've got Riz Ahmed. And they're the really big ones, but still, it's they're really impressive.
Yeah, some big names.
Yeah, we've not seen Woody Harrelson in any of the trailer footage, which is apart from Tom Hardy, I think he's the second biggest star.
Yeah,
in that thing. So, I also really like Jenny Slate, as well.
Right.
So, I've saw her in one of the comedies which she wrote as well, which was really good. And Michelle Williams was amazing in Manchester by the Sea.
Yes. So oh my god, that's such a good film.
I've seen the film quite a few times there.
Did we see who the director was?
Yeah, sorry. He's done he's done. It's quite a that's an okay director. He did Zombieland, which was highly successful.
Oh right, yeah.
He did 30 Minutes or Less, with simple comedy. He did Two Nights In, that classic romantic
Oh right,
film.
okay. So
A Two Night Stand, sorry.
Interesting sort of range going on here.
It's a mixture of range. He did Gangster Squad.
Oh yeah. Okay, that was a bit of a failure, but aesthetically it looked good.
I mean, I like the way it tried.
Yeah, that was a film where one of the best lines was in the trailer that wasn't in the film, and it was such a shame.
Was Amy Adams in that film?
I can't remember who is in it. Sean Penn, I think.
Yeah,
is
definitely Sean Penn.
Yeah.
And I think they do. There's amazing.
Mark Brolin in it as well. Somebody. What's he called?
So Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Emma Stone. Yeah. And who else was in it?
Yeah, they did a really amazing. There's that really really interesting use of overexposure in one of the shots in that film, which I like to always point out to people.
Josh Brolin. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I know I'm excited for it. I want it to be good. It could be not good. It could be bad. So if it's bad, I'm not going to feel too much of a sting. I'm prepared for both.
Well,
but I would love it to be good.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And so only time will tell, James.
I'm also glad that they're just advertising it as like a big movie. It's not saying it's amazing. It's not saying it's not like advertising it to be like, oh, it's incredible. I don't know. It's just what you see is what you get so far. I think from the advertisement, it's going to be hard to displease me so far. Because the advertisement for me is meh. I'm interested, but it's not really mind-blowing.
Again, good expectation management.
Yeah.
I think that goes for a lot. But what that means is that we're both looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it feels good for me, actually, to get excited about a comic book film.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's been a while. I mean, Avengers, Black Panther, they were probably the last two hits for me. I know you liked Luke Cage, but I wasn't keen on that. So, I'm looking forward to it.
And I've seen Joaquin Phoenix's Joker take.
Right. Is it just like a teaser?
If you haven't, then stay away.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting for you to get a fresh view in the movie.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I look forward to that.
That's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be really interesting.
Okay.
And it's like, and it's also I also have to applaud whether this does really well and sets off a new Sony universe of side films, or they just try and fail. I'm glad they're trying something completely different.
Yeah, take a risk.
Yeah, this is a risk, and this is a risk which they haven't already guaranteed the next film within this universe.
Yeah,
they're trying this one, see if it works. If it does work, there's going to be a different Sony. So they're making the Spider-Mans obviously with Marvel.
Yeah,
and this is their only Sony project.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we can trust in the Yardie to choose an interesting project.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like he's there.
Yeah.
I mean, he might just be cashing in, but you know what I mean. He doesn't come across like he just takes on any old role for the sake of it.
I think I will really enjoy Tom Hardy within this film, whether it be a bad film or a good film.
Yeah,
I think I will come out this film liking him playing a role. A bit like what we said with Yardie. There's so much, there's really great acting in there. And so there are a few mixed things. It's a mixture of my opinion of the film.
Yeah.
But there are things in it which I came out loving. And even if it was a lot worse, if the acting was exactly the same, I think I would have come out really liking the acting.
Yeah. I mean, like. Yeah. But that's what I mean. That's kind of what you get with Tom Hardy. I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't ever think of seeing him in something and I've gone, that was terrible. I mean, he's sort of, you know, my fear is that he's becoming Tom Hardy in stuff rather than playing a part. But he's so good in everything like that I've seen so far that I can't sort of see him going that way.
See, that's what I like about. I think this role was great for him because he's playing Eddie Brock, which is slowly turning into Venom, and maybe at some point, at one stage of it, he's Tom Hardy, but it's going to be a transformation. This is a transformation piece for him.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing different sides of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Should we leave it there?
Wrap it up.
Move into our super long sign off.
Yeah. All this
like our signature sign off.
And join us on Facebook, join us on Twitter, join us on soon to be Instagram, and join us on YouTube as well.
The Instagram.
Leave a comment, leave a review, subscribe, and tell a friend if you think they'll be interested. If you don't think they're interested, tell them anyway.
Yeah, hopefully. Again, we're not afraid of the haters.
Yeah.
Even if you hate us, tell us about it.
Thank you for listening. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you next time for the mini-sodes, and hopefully you'll come back for Venom and some other TV stuff.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, peace out. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.